Hi everyone, hope so you all are fine. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Unlal here, and right now in this lecture I will tell you about the encapsulation. So what you really know about word encapsulation. As you write it on Google, it will tell you about the encapsulation means you are protecting something in some material. So the best example for this is a capsule. The material inside a capsule is protected by the outer coating. You are getting an example of a letter. You're writing some letter and want to send some concerned organization. What you really do here is you just cover the letter by a glue and just try to send it so that it is received by a legitimate user and only the concerned person may uncover it. The same thing is happening in the network area. Like and you are the client person, like you are typing something and you want the same thing will open, so this must be protected. Okay, so how it is protected and how this thing is work, it's like you are the client here and now the flow is like this. Right now the first flow is like in this direction, like you are a client and you are typing something. Let's suppose I'm saying that I'm a client and I want to open the facebook.com. so what I do is I just write it facebook.com and I am a client. Now it will move on towards my request is moving on towards the server. So the same thing is there in the server portion. So now what it happen is here is an HTTP client and now this request is further move on towards the TCP, but it's move in a way of header. Like there is a header, I can say I'm just trying to create it like this, and this is the header portion here, this is the header portion here. Okay, so this is the header portion here and this is my text, what I am typing and what I am saying. So now this is the protected, as if you see this the same way as you are writing some letter and you are just covering it, or I'm saying that I am writing letter with typing fp.com and I am just covering it with the header of HTTP. Okay, the same thing goes on with the TCP as TCP is moving onward. So this whole thing now we will say is this whole thing as a TCP, and now this TCP moves on the same way TCP moves on with its inner header as a HTTP header. And now right now in this portion we have a header of TCP header. Just remember this thing, we have an header of TCP header. Here at the IP level we have a TCP header. I hope you understand this thing, how this thing is working and how this thing is flowing. Right now at the IP portion I have a TCP header, and then we'll move on towards the Ethernet driver and so on as the IP header, and in last we have the Ethernet header. So now my whole letter will be known as the Ethernet header, with this is as the whole data what I have. So this thing has whole data. Right now I'm saying that this is the IP header, this is the TCP header, this is the HTTP header, and this one thing is my data. What I am saying, this is my data. So this thing is my data. So right now what I want to say is this is my data, this is my header of HTTP, this is my header of TCP, and this is my header of IP, and in last I have an Ethernet header. So my packet or my data is enclosed in 4 headers. So when it moves back or when it moves towards, so when the Ethernet header is moved on the track, or we say on the network, over the network, when it receives on the other end, so what it happen is it be unlocked in the same way. Like at first the Ethernet header is unlocked, then we'll move on toward the IP header is unlocked, then we'll move on to the TCP header is uncovered, and the same thing HTTP header is uncovered, and at last the server receives the request. Okay, the server receives the request. So this is the server is receiving the request, and it shows that fb.com is the server is receiving the request, and in the same way it replies back. So this is the way of encapsulation. Why you are encapsulating it? In simple word, I will say just for the sake of protection. I hope you understand this thing. So let's meet you in next lecture. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.